So Amazon has been doing a marvelous job in setting customer expectations. And that's allowed them to now take 60% of the e-commerce market in the United States. The other 40% is split amongst a wide variety of people, including small guys that are just e-commerce folks. And so when people talk about what Amazon is doing, they got to put it in the context of what's been happening. And the consumer in 2020 and 2021 stopped going to the store except for essentials. And so what we found is the only place they really shopped was online. So we had this huge growth in 2020 and 2021. 2021, we had 22% growth of e-commerce. And so it was huge. That's like 5 years growth that we had in those 2 years alone. And so now what's happened is that we're starting to fall back to more normal growth, the 13 to 14 to 15% growth, and people are saying, the e-commerce is not being sold so much. Well, that's simply not true. E-commerce is growing at a tremendous rate. It's growing about 2.5 times quicker than store growth is. And so what we're seeing is e-commerce is gaining more and more and more percentage of the total. Now, with respect to Amazon space, there was that article in the Journal last week that says Amazon has got way too much space and so forth. That's just plain ridiculous. What Amazon did, if they had 22% growth in 2022 like they did in 2021, they would not have enough space. Okay, and so what we're seeing is what they were doing is they had a risk mitigation with respect to availability of space. And so what they did is they built enough space to allow them to continue to grow at 22%. Well, they're only going to wind up with about 15% in 2022, so they do have some extra capacity. But that extra capacity is 10, 20, maybe 30 million square feet. 30 million square feet's less than 8% of the total for Amazon. And so that's not a huge deal. And in fact, it was a good investment for them because they got great locations in places where vacancy is very low, rents are going up. So congratulations to Amazon for making really good decisions with respect to investing in real estate that they know that in 2023 they're going to use themselves. And so in 2022 they're going to look at that. And in fact, Amazon continues to invest in real estate at a very active rate, and the reason is it's a great place for them to invest because they know they're going to need it in the future going forward, and if they don't need it, the 3PLs will need it that are servicing the folks that are dealing with the smaller levels of e-commerce. Amazon really understands what I call optionality. Optionality says, let's make sure that we take care of our own business, but we don't know what that business is. And it's now grown to such scale, you need to have options available. So Amazon does not have option B. They have option B, C, D, and E. And they're constantly thinking, how can we handle this demand? When do we deliver it with Amazon drivers? When do we do it with independent contractors? When do we do it with space we own? When do we do it with 3PLs? When do we do it with space we lease? And so Amazon really understands optionality, and that's critical to their continued success. Retailers we can break into different categories. There's folks like Walmart and Target and Home Depot that have stores. That changes the model a little bit because now you can use your stores for buy online, pick up in store, which is less costly than delivering it to the home. However, you're limited to the number of SKUs you can handle. Typically, you only handle the SKUs in the store that you sell in the store. And now if you look at Walmart, for example, it has 100,000 SKUs in the store. They're selling 5 million SKUs online. And so they need an alternative method of having fulfillment centers that allow them to pick individual orders, deliver those orders to the store, and then have the customer come and pick them up. So Target, Home Depot, Walmart are using their stores as a way of facilitating the uni-channel, the omni-channel of combining the online and the in-store experience. Customers want certain things picked different ways. If you talk about a grocery store, why would anybody want to go to the center of a grocery store? Do you really care which box of Cheerios you get, which bag of Oreos you get? It doesn't matter. And so what you're going to do is you're going to call your order into the grocery store for everything in the center of the store, and then you're going to walk the outer rim. You're going to pick your fruit and your vegetables. You're going to pick your frozen. You're going to pick out the wine you want. You're going to pick out the frozen you want. And then you'll say, hey, I'm here to pick up my other order. And they'll deliver it to your trunk while you're checking out. I believe the best way to describe what's going on now with music is helter-skelter. It's crazy out there. We have VUCA, volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. And this VUCA is affecting everything in the supply chain. And therefore, what we have is an absolute free-for-all. We see that today in inventory. Why do we have 25% too much inventory? The reason we have 25% too much inventory is because we have volatility in supply. We don't know when the ships are going to sail from Shanghai. We have volatility in demand. In the last 2 months, what we've seen is a huge shift in the demand where we're not buying comfortable clothes to sit around the house, t-shirts and sweatpants. We're now going back to work, and we're buying real work clothes. We go out in public in them. And so it's a different market. So if you look at the American Eagles, if you look at the Gap, you look at Kohl's, they have a bunch of inventory that's not selling. And so it's a real problem because we have this VUCA in not only supply and demand, but also in lead times. So planning inventory is very, very, very difficult, and it's not going to get easier because VUCA is going to continue going forward. So safety stock is a variable that is absolutely, you might as well go to the crap tables in Las Vegas. You don't have a clue how to plan it today because you don't know what the real demand is, and you're trying to predict this months in advance. And so we have a real challenge, and that challenge is resulting in shortages. And so the shortages are telling management saying we can't have shortage in the store, and so what you're doing, you're buying more inventory. You don't know when the inventory is going to arrive. Shanghai might close down again for COVID, and then how do you get the inventory out? So what we want to do with the inventory, we want to place it in the location where we spend less money on it. So where is it? That's the port. We bring it in and we park it at the port. And then we make decisions later as to where that inventory should be dispatched. Maybe it should go to New Jersey. Maybe it should go to the Midwest. Maybe it should go to California. And so what we need to do is not dispatch it to its final fulfillment distribution location, but hold it in bulk and then ship it when we know where it's needed and where the demand is. Well, labor is a major issue for everyone today throughout the organizations. For distribution and fulfillment centers, labor is a major problem. And the challenge is people come in, they take the job, and then they stay for 3 weeks, and then they leave. And so the bigger problem than actually hiring good people is retaining the good people once you have them on board. What results in retaining employees? Working in a place they're proud of. They want to drive by with the family and say, hey, that's where daddy works, that's where mommy works. And these are our buildings. They want to be new buildings. We need to have the amenities. We need to have cafeterias. We need to have meeting rooms. Maybe we have a couple squash courts. Maybe we have some workout rooms so that people feel good about themselves and they know that the company cares about them. So modern, new facilities, we need to have 40-foot clear, and we need to be in the right location.